I say that I have two backgrounds because it's easiest that way, but like if I look at my lineage, I have a lot more. But I just say the two because it's more convenient that way.
I've had people call me an Oreo, black on the outside, white on the inside, and it made me feel uncomfortable. But my sister told me she went through that too, you know, having people trying to make her feel bad about who she was.
One little girl, like, I remember in first grade, she's like, "Are you Mexican? Like, what are you?" Or something like that, you know? So they just, I guess, you know, kids are just being kids. Like, she just kind of blurted it out.
Stephanie and I get it all the time.
We were in first grade, like, at the time, I was just like, no, I'm not Mexican, but.
If anybody who asked me anything, it was more of my white friends who asked me if I was mixed with something. Like, because they would see my mom and be like, "Are you adopted?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm not adopted."
People are very racially conscious, I feel like, even though, you know, it's just like a colorblind society at the end of the day.
Many people that are mixed with black and white will just automatically say they're black. And, I mean, that goes, I mean, in this country, just having like the one-drop rule, just that being completely implemented into our history, and people continue to do it today. I don't necessarily agree with that, just because why would we follow something that was instilled during slavery? People had other humans as slaves, and this was a rule during that time that had to do with that situation, so why would we follow that?
Let's say someone comes from Italy or something, like, you know, Italian, and they want to identify as Italian and things like that, but here they're classified as white.
It's so frustrating, and A, it's like, why does my race matter so much on the survey, and B, why is it check one? Because, I mean, for a lot of people, it's not just check one, so I check several, and I'm proud of all three of them.
I understand that I'm considered, you know, a black person, but it's not to the point where I'm gonna, like, deny half of me.
Sometimes I'll be difficult and say on purpose, yeah, I'm American, and then they're like, "Oh no, where were you born?" "In Minneapolis." "Oh no, what are you?" "Minnesotan," and I'll do that on purpose.
A lot of like biracial people, they all don't look the same. You know, you can have biracial people that will have more like white features or more black features.
The simple white, black, Native American, Asian is not gonna, it's not sufficient anymore.
Sometimes what I'll do, because usually the people who ask me that are white, I'll say, "Well, what are you?" And then I'll make them tell me, "Well, I'm a part Irish and I'm part Gaelic," or whatever, and I'll just sit there and be like, "Okay, that's cool."
Skin tones tell a lot about a person's ethnic background, but some people unfamiliar with multiracial identity don't understand the message. Skin color in humans is determined by how much melanin is in their bodies. Melanin is a pigment in the body that absorbs damaging UV rays from the sun to protect a person's skin. Light-skinned people have a low amount of melanin, while dark-skinned people have a high concentration. Variations in skin tones are also caused by genetics, and you can see genetics at work with the mixed-race population. If a light-skinned person and a dark-skinned person have a child, the DNA codes from both parents mix, and their child may develop a skin color that falls in the middle. But even genetics give way to sociology. Although the US Census allows people to select more than one race, some mixed-race people pick just one because of a strong cultural identification with one group. Even the brightest of minds are in the dark about defining racial identity. Philosophy professor Michael Levin suggested in a 2002 journal that anyone with less than 3/4 of their ancestors from a geographic region associated with a racial group should be considered multiracial. He said, "My sense is that ordinary attributions of race begin to stabilize at 75%. On the opposite end, professor and geneticist Neil Rich said in 2005, "I'm not even sure what race means. People use it in many different ways."
Melanin, it's just all a chemical.
I'm still learning too.
It's not even just with black and white, it's with, you know, other different races that are coming into our society every day.
Well, I feel like the U of M, personally, I haven't felt that much of like a mixed racial identity. You know, at the U, I just feel like I'm kind of looked at as like an outsider in my classes.
I would have to say that like my racial relations are pretty good. I feel like though with school, I have a lot of Caucasian friends just because I'm in mainly a Caucasian school here at the U.
Minnesota has a lot of, German and Norwegian, and just Scandinavian descent.
Well, as an active student leader on campus, I find that usually I'm the only one who is a person of color a lot of times in the room, especially like a lot of meetings and stuff. And at the boardroom table, I'll look around the room and everyone's white, which is fine because I'm used to it. It's starting to get a little old for me.
When I first came here, orientation kind of played the whole role of like, we're a multiracial school, and they showed like pictures of all these different races, but when I felt like I came on campus, I didn't see it. And especially in Carlson,
I get to see African American people when I'm at the athletic part of my life. So when I'm at Bierman or when I'm at, my sporting events, I always see like black people. But when I'm at school, I rarely see any. And if I do see it, it's an athlete.
Maybe I've had one faculty of color that's been a professor, but everyone else, maybe my TAs were, people of color, but everyone else has been white. And it's fine. It's just that I thought I was coming to the U and I would see faculty of color in, well-respected positions that I wasn't used to.
it was very disheartening to come in my classes and be the only black person when I'm really only half of that.
When you're like when you only have so many kids at a school and you got, and everyone's in different classes and you're the only black person in your class or a minority in your class, obviously it doesn't feel like the number doesn't really matter.
And unless I'm by like general college, I'll maybe see some, but I'm never over there, so I don't really know. But most of the time, I'm with Caucasian people throughout my daily life.
Maybe if I came from somewhere that had more backgrounds, it would be a little bit more of like a culture shock.
I think also the closing of General College had a big effect on that, because I didn't go here when there was General College, but just from the experience of people who graduated, they told me that diversity was a lot higher.
Just walking around campus, it depends on where you go, I guess, to see, like if you go into the multicultural centers on campus, you'll see people of color, but I usually don't go there.
I would say my Carlson experience specifically has been really difficult, just being that black sheep that no one wants to sit next to, no one wants to group up with for groups.
Yeah, sometimes I feel a little bit lonely because even when I'm around other people of color, other people don't look like me. I feel like no one looks like me other than my immediate family.
I was split up in my Carlson group, and I remember one of the questions was, so do you feel that we're in a diverse setting here? And it was funny how all the white kids popped up, yeah, we're diverse. Like, this is a diverse school. It was at orientation, and I hated to be the negative one, but I was like, look around you. This is not diverse.
I thought when I joined J School that it was going to be this amazing, enriching, supportive experience. And then I was really hoping to get assigned an advisor of color, but I didn't. And that was fine. I just really wanted that, for a mentor.
I'm sitting here amongst like 50 white people. This is not diverse. And it got this other guy tried to say, well, we can't make you guys apply and things like that. It really offended me.
I don't feel like this school of journalism is a home for me. And it's really sad because when someplace doesn't feel like home for me, I don't really have fun. I don't feel like I fit in there. I don't feel like I'm putting my best in.
At St. Thomas and at the U, the general population is white, but I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable if I walk into a party that was white people. I don't feel comfortable. I feel like they will say that's the black girl.
Ignorance is the key term there. People who only grow up around people who look like themselves, so they just don't know about anybody, any ethnic group other than themselves.
If I'm at a party with black people, I feel like I fit in. But then say I'm at a party or a gathering and there's a whole bunch of black people and some people or maybe African people, and they'll be like, oh, she's mixed, she's not full black.
When I just go into class, people say the most ignorant things. For being in the School of Journalism, I'm very surprised at all the racist things that come out in class.
Sometimes I felt that other black students didn't accept me because I didn't maybe act the way they thought I should.
We played Iowa State in Iowa, and they were commenting on the different ethnicities on our team. And some of the things they were saying were a little